Hello Procraftinators and welcome to my channel. Today I am participating in the first Create in Spain video hop and I am so excited. The theme is florals, so let's jump into the card. I started with a piece of Bristol smooth cardstock cut to 4 by 5 1/4 and I took a Spellbinders Circles large die, the largest circle, and I traced it onto the Bristol smooth cardstock. I'm using the Spellbinders Moonflower stamp and die set, and I'm going to stamp the moon first, and I'm going to stamp the edge of the moon, the back edge, in between those two traced circles that I had traced of the circle die. The reason why I did that tracing and want such exact placement of where the edge of my moon is going to be is because I'm going to be doing some partial die cutting in just a few minutes. I'm using the Spellbinders Grand Caliber today because it's a little bit easier for partial die cutting than my Gemini machine. I'm using the junior plate for the top plate just because it's easier to maneuver, and I lined up that junior plate just where I want the cutting to stop. But as you can see here, the cutting stopped right where the edge of my plate was at. Now I'm going to take the circle die and do exactly the same thing as I did with the moon die, trying to make sure that the cut lines stop at exactly the same place that the cut line stopped on the moon. I used my Inktense pencils to color in the Moonflower. I am only going to show you the rows in the middle because I'm really not a professional colorist or whatever you want to call it. I used the pencils to color in the shaded parts, and then I used a water brush to pull out the color into the rest of the petals. I've obviously sped this video up quite a bit because I didn't want to bore anybody with my lackluster coloring, but just in case anybody hasn't experienced Inktense pencils, I wanted to leave some of it in for that, and because I do think that they are a great coloring medium for anybody that isn't experienced in watercoloring. You can see a rag off to the side there. I'm using that to wipe off the excess water from my water brush onto that because I'm using Bristol Smooth. It can take some water, but it's not watercolor paper. You can't completely saturate the card with it. So I'm wiping off that excess water. Just like any watercolor, you do want to try to work in sections and not sections right next to each other. So I am trying to work on the petals somewhat randomly because of that. Here I'm switching to a direct from pencil technique, and I'm taking my water brush and directly pulling that color from the tip of the pencil. This does not harm the pencils whatsoever, and it just adds a more intense color to the shaded areas that I wanted to add it to. Now I'm going to stamp my sentiment, and I'm stamping the sentiment Sending Love from Tonic Craft Kit number 18. There are two hearts on either side of the sentiment that did not fit, so I'm just not going to stamp those. I'm stamping my sentiment in rose red, and after I get done stamping it in red, I'm going to clean my stamp, and then I'm going to stamp it in Versamark and cover it in clear embossing powder. This is a great way of getting different colors of embossed sentiments and things if you don't have a lot of colors of embossing powder. I do happen to have a red embossing powder, but I'm not particularly fond of it. I don't know if it's just bad quality or if it's just too old or what the deal is, but this is just a great way of getting different colored embossed images or sentiments if you don't have that particular color.
At this point in the card, I did not like all the white space, so I decided to take the floral images in the stamp set that I had not used and scatter them across the front of the card. By doing this, I was creating my own custom floral background. But don't worry, I won't make you sit through all of the stamping, and what little bit I did leave in, I super sped up. I sure do wish that I could stamp that fast. And here's a quick look at that background stamping finished. Even though this is a floral themed video hop, I have a thing for suns and moons, which is why I chose this Moonflower image. So I wanted to bring out the moon part of the image a little bit more, so I'm going to do some ink blending on this background. I'm going to start by adding a yellow glow around the hole in the center of the card, and then I'm going to add blue around it to act as a night sky. I know, flowers in the night sky, it's kind of strange, but I'm going to call it artistic privilege. Again, I put the video into super speed and then I cut quite a bit of it out to not bore you. The yellow is Distress in Mustard Seed, and the blues are Faded Jeans and Chip Sapphire. And then at the end I will go over the edges in Black Soot. As you'll notice, for the other colors I used my Amazon makeup brushes to apply the ink, but Black Soot I'm using the Mini Distress ink blending tool. The reason for this is because the makeup brushes apply such a light color and the Mini Distress ink blending tools apply a deeper, richer color. You can apply more ink at once. And I was going for a darker look. Now it's time to remove the mask and see what we've got. I forgot to film this part, so I just wanted to show you that I used the MFT Starry Sky vertical stencil, the denim ripple paper from the Craft Perfect December Skies paper pad, and used some Nouveau glitter accents in Silver Jubilee to make the star background. I wanted to finish off the inside of the card, and I have a friend whose husband passed away a little over a month ago, so I want to send this card to her. I've already sent her a sympathy card, but I know she's still having a rough time, so I wanted to send her a new card. So I'm going to stamp the rose from the Moonflower stamp set that I showed you earlier in Rose Red by Stampin' Up, and then I'm going to stamp the Thinking of You stamp that you see here. That is by Stampin' Up, called Sincere Salutations, and I'm stamping that in Gina K Amalgam ink. Then when I'm done with these two stamps, because they are foam stamps, I'm going to remove them. I'm going to flip my board around, and as you can see here, I've got a Gina K stamp set called Sweet Friendship, and I'm going to use the You're Never Alone sentiment and stamp that down by the rose in the bottom. Now we're in the home stretch. All we need to do is assemble the card. I covered the back in foam squares. I usually use craft foam for dimension, but I didn't want to have to cut out the moon and whatnot, so I just covered the back in foam squares. Then I'm going to put some Nouveau Deluxe adhesive on the back of the panel that I attached to the back, and then we're just going to attach the card front to the card base. And that finishes up the card for today. Thank you for watching my video, and if you liked my video, please like and subscribe to my channel. The next video in the hop will be linked in the description box below. Thank you and have a good day.